which continues unabated but led to the Safer School initiative by the federal government, may be throwing a spanner in the wheel of progress of the drive for education for all by 2015. 1 in 3 primary school children, 1 in 4 junior secondary children are out of school in the Northeast, and in Borno State alone, about 250,000 children are out of school.
There are 500,000 children that are currently out of school and 664,000 internally displaced persons in the Northeast alone. Over 10,000 people have been killed, while over 1.3 million citizens have been directly affected by insurgency. So far, 5,000 hectares of farmland has been abandoned by displaced farmers, and 19,000 farmers are out of their livelihood. With a little help, we can make a difference.
While over 9 million people have been indirectly affected, and about 149,903 have been internally displaced since January 2014. The increasing number of internally displaced persons in the country from their central homes is worrisome. The avalanche of internally displaced persons from Borno and Yobe states to the makeshift camp in Gombe, owing to the latest attacks, has ushered in over congestion and poor living condition.
We are grateful to the government for the accommodation.
There are about 2 women have been delivered here.
Critical national infrastructure such as hospitals, power lines and bridges, especially Gambarungala in Borno State, weeping, wailing and tears of woes are the lot of survivors who have lost their loved ones. Correspondingly, number of widows and widowers are on the increase, while the teenagers who have lost their parents to terrorist attacks are roaming the streets with no one to care for them. Hundreds of thousands of victims of the blast are languishing in various hospitals, with some of them resigning to their fate of carrying permanent disability.
When you carry another man's coffin, it looks like an ordinary log of wood. But to us, fathers and mothers, and the families of the victims, they are not just numbers. They are human beings, sons and daughters, uncles, nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters, and indeed fathers and mothers. They are Nigerians.
Government's huge investments in agriculture aimed at promoting food security program are being undermined in Krenwa, Borno, and other flashpoints of insurgent attacks. Indeed, the activities of insurgents have virtually destroyed socio-economic life of the people. Thousands have abandoned their community and deserted their farmlands, with many more losing their livestock and other possessions.
Muna neman taimakon kayan abinci da kuma magunguna don mu samu mu taimaka sauran jama'anmu.
He wants you to take the message that they also require assistance of food, drugs, because majority of them were in their farms and now they are back in their houses. They've not been able to work for quite some time.
Similarly, markets are functioning below capacity level, and once flourishing interstate marketing of crops are dwindling, just as industries are in comatose. The dastardly act of insurgents know no bound, with the capital city of Abuja having experienced spades of attacks, including twin blasts in Nyanya, Mogadishu Cantonment Mami Market, Force Headquarters, Emma Plaza, and even the UN office in Abuja was not spared. Undoubtedly, government is not sleeping over our constitutional responsibility of providing security of lives and property for our citizenry, and has hit the ground running in providing succor for victims of bomb blasts. These including writing off their hospital bills, provision of life support mechanism, and distribution of relief materials by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Ransom damage to life and property by the activities of the insurgents made the government to inaugurate the Presidential Committee on Victims Endowment Funds with a view to seeking assistance of the private sector and international community.
For those who have been victims They need comfort. They need succor. We cannot replace the life of a child that has been snuffed out. We cannot replace the lives of men and women who have been killed. We cannot return broken limbs to their original state. We cannot take away the trauma that people have been put through. Their memories are scarred, some for the rest of their lives, over what they knew nothing about. The best we can do in this circumstance is to offer them a shoulder to lean on and to stretch out our hands of fellowship to them and tell them we feel their pains and share in their sorrow.
Although the plight of the victims of the insurgency is of high magnitude, the great concern shown by the nation and the response strategy adopted by government in bringing succor to the victims has been quite effective. In giving respite to the victims and with concerted efforts by governments, the private sector and public-spirited individuals as well as international community through the Victim Support Committee has surely brought a ray of hope for the victims and by extension and the country's quest to end the dismal effects of insurgency on the people generally.
Spare a thought for the victim and support them. This is not a tax for the rich alone. Every widow's mite will count and will be appreciated. I urge Nigerians to donate generously, even through their GSM phones.
Wow. Your Excellencies, I'll be surprised if we're able to start giving an applause at this time, because after watching all of that devastation, I think it sets the tone for all of us now to rise and observe at least 1 minute full silence in honor of all the victims. And please don't be in a hurry. It will be exactly 1 minute. May the souls of all the departed rest in peace, and may they be comforted by the generosity of a concerned nation. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, on a day like this, it is the case that everybody bungles protocol. You make mistakes, you skip certain things. I have it on good authority that indeed some of the governors who are here with us were skipped in my earlier recognition of governors. So please let us put our hands together for the governors of Imo and Edo states. I am also reliably informed that Their Excellencies, the Deputy Governors of Sokoto and Benue, are also here with us this evening. And I think then that this is the appropriate time to say that an evening like this would not happen but for the very capable support that government and the citizens of Nigeria continue to receive and obtain from captains of industry, those who earn their monies and are willing to put their money